something a little funny to start out with, and this one, children are so great. So these are children's letters to God. So here's a few of them. Dear God, I read the Bible. What does begat mean? Nobody will tell me. Love, Allison. Woo! Racy. Dear God, instead of letting people die and having to make new ones, why don't you keep the ones you already have now? Hey. I like that. Dear God, maybe Cain and Abel would not have killed each other if they had their own rooms. That's what my mom did for me and my brother Larry. Dear God, if you watch me in church on Sunday, I'll show you my new shoes. Dear God, I bet it was very hard to love everyone in the whole world. There are only 4 people in our family, and I'm having a hard time loving all of them. Amen. Okay, dear God, are you really invisible, or is it just a trick? That's cute. Okay, 3 more. Dear God, did you mean for the giraffe to look like that, or was it an accident? Okay, that visual's great. All right. Dear God, I went to this wedding and they kissed right in the church. Is that okay? All right. And then thank you for the baby brother, but what I prayed for was a puppy. Okay. Dear God, I think about you sometimes, even when I'm not praying. Oh, that's sweet. My brother told me about being born, but it doesn't sound right. They're just kidding, aren't they? Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, last one. Dear God, I didn't think orange went with purple until I saw the sunset you made on Tuesday. That was cool. Isn't that beautiful? Well, I don't know. So some of you know I was in Russia for a couple weeks, and my guy booked this trip, and I'm like, Russia? You know, so I had this image of Russia, you know, with the sickle and the hammer and communism and all of that. And it's so different than you can ever imagine. So they are more free than they've ever been in their lives. But what struck me is that, you know, the beauty of that country, and it's so gorgeous. And I realized too, you know, when we were over there, that no matter where you go, you're going to find the beauty that God has given us, and it's simply awesome. But I just wanted to share a couple things, you know, when I said going with the flow. So here we are on this cruise ship, and it's just magnificent, and it's beautiful, and it's a river cruise. And there were people, and this is why I wanted to talk about this, about going with the flow. There were people that actually were complaining on this amazing trip. So I'm kind of hearing on the bus, we're going to go to this, you know, some event, you know, we had booked an excursion, and I heard this woman saying, yes, I have my letter all mapped out that I'm sending to corporate, and they're going to hear about, and I'm like, what? You are kidding me, okay? You are not embracing the joy and the love of this moment and the beauty and the grace that's happening. So that was one of the things I noticed, and it was incredible because wherever you go, you know, people will say, oh, if you go to France, they're unfriendly, or if you go here, they're unfriendly. You know what? The only one that's unfriendly is you. So if you're friendly and you smile and you're great with them, they're going to be, and they're going to have that same energy back on us. But a couple of things that I learned, and I think probably for all of us, you know, do you know what the Kremlin really is? Do y'all know what it really is? I know, I just learned something. And we go to the Kremlin in Moscow. The Kremlin means fort. So what they used to do in the cities is that they would build a fort with a wall, because Russia is one of the most invaded countries on the planet. Did you know that? And so what happened is they would build a huge wall. They would have all the homes, they would have all of the buildings, the churches, everything would be within the Kremlin walls. So being that we're Americans, you know, we think the Kremlin, it's an office building. No, it's not. So we actually got to see Putin's office. So there is a building within the Kremlin, you know, area, and you can see the building where he is. But I learned something, you know, and it's always, you have to realize that what we see on the news and what's happening is two different things. So Putin, I guess, when he gets there to his office, whenever he's there, he goes out and if people are there, he'll actually like say hi and go hang out with them, and it's incredible. So you would never have that image of this guy, right? And it's funny because we have all these set things that we think about Russia. So I let go of that right then and there because he's a user-friendly guy. I don't know what he's really like, but he's also a real smart guy because what he's done is that he's been a president how many times? I don't know, so many terms, and then he becomes the prime minister. Then he becomes the president again. Then he becomes the prime minister. Then he becomes the president again. So he knows how to work it, that's for sure. But what I saw is that, you know, communism obviously didn't work because on every corner there were people selling things. So they have embraced capitalism to the max. And why I said go with the flow, you know, because you're in another country or wherever you are, you know, just allow yourself to enjoy the moment and be where you are in that moment. Because that's what it's all about. So we were in the huge cities. Moscow, by the way, has the worst traffic. You think we have traffic? The worst traffic in the world. They are dubbed the worst traffic in the world. But also what they have is a subway or a metro. And I believe it was Stalin. He wanted to create the most beautiful artwork in the metro in Moscow. So you go on the metro and you see these gorgeous bronze statues. And yes, and you see, I actually have some pictures. They have created some frescoes on the top of the ceilings. Wow. They have marble. I mean, it looks like you're walking into a museum when you're getting on the metro. And that was his vision. So he created that to happen. They also created the waterway, and where we were, you know, on this cruise, it's called Waterway of the Tsars. And one of the czars actually did have, and unfortunately they took all the people that were imprisoned to create this to happen, but they created a waterway from Moscow to St. Petersburg. And so it's fantastic, it really is. So as you're journeying from Moscow, you see on the riverbanks all of the little villages, and you see all the things in Russia. And it's gorgeous. So one of the things that Art and I decided to do out of, I think there were, I don't know, let's say there were like 500 people on the ship. So there were like 15 or 16 of us that decide there's an excursion and we're gonna go and do their beautiful sweat experience. And so you go, I know, right? And so you go and, you know, we're thinking, you know, they have the girls on one side and the boys on another. And I'm thinking, oh, there'll be a woman that's going to be there, and she's going to take care of us. Oh, no. It was a young Russian guy. And they had said clothing optional. I don't think so. Okay? I mean, come on now. So anyway, you go, and, you know, we all had our bathing suits on, and you go in, and it's the hottest sauna I've ever felt in my life. And I've done a million sweat lodges, but this puppy was hot. And what they believe in Russia and many of the countries where they have snow all the time is that you need to do this to purify your mind, body, and spirit. And they do it 2 to 3 times a week. Wow. And then what they do, they'll do rounds. You go in for 10 minutes or whatever you can stand. I was jumping out of there. And then they take, either you jump in the lake or they take a bucket of water. And I go, okay, lake or water, bucket of water. I'll do the bucket. And so anyway, he throws it on. Ah! Anyway, so in that, you know, you feel great. But here's this young Russian guy, and they also take, and everybody was saying, oh, they're going to beat you with branches. No, they don't beat you with branches. So they take the birch, and they have leaves, and they take actually a branch with the leaves on it, and then they kind of like, you know, do this. Yeah, they shake it on you. And he takes the water and shakes it on you, shakes it on your back. And I'm going, I gotta get out of here. Anyway, so he did that a couple times, and I'm trying to explain to him, because I don't speak Russian. Okay, I don't know if I could make it again. And he's like, oh, come on, just, you know, in sign language, come on, go for it one more time. Like, okay. And so I did. But what they do over there is that, and that's an experience where, yeah, you gotta surrender up. That's what I'm gonna tell you. We were just breathing. So I've got a picture of us. They give you this little, a little wool hat to put on while you're in the sweat. And we all looked at each other, you know, all of us, we're like in our 60s, all these women, and we go, let's take a picture and look like real dorks with our hats on. And we did. It was great, because you're going to embrace the moment. Go with the flow, man, you know, if you want to just enjoy the experience, enjoy what's going to happen with you. Yeah. And it just was such, that was probably the highlight. Oh wait, the other highlight, and I was talking to Roxy about that, we should do this as a fundraiser. So we get on the boat, they said, we're going to do a vodka tasting. I'm like, oh, well, it's a good thing it's on the boat. So anyway.
That's what you want to do for a fundraiser?
Yeah, yes. Vodka tasting, are you down? Okay, I'm not kidding, you're right.
Yeah, you'll pay for everything here.
I'm telling you.
Uber.
Yeah, won't we?
Uber.
So anyway, so they had lined up, you know, six kinds of vodka. And so we're tasting them all, and we're like, oh my God. The best one, I don't know if you can get it here, it's called Caviar Vodka, and it's got a little emblem on the front. And I thought, oh my gosh, so I'm going to look for it. But it was the best, the smoothest. But anyway, after taking several shots, so this one little gal, one of the crew, she says, you have to learn how to drink vodka. And so we said, okay. And so we were doing shots. And Art and I look at each other and go, this is fun. She goes, drink a lot of water, you won't have a hangover. Darn if she wasn't right. I am not kidding you. Eat a little food, drink some water, you know, and you're fine. But that's why I said to Roxy, we got to do a fundraiser with vodka tasting. It's really fun. And I'll teach you how to do it the Russian way. So that's really great.
You can do that in Isla Vista at any time.
You know what? Exactly. You know, we could actually do that. But you know, it's interesting. I saw on coming over. We also had a chance to go to a ballet in St. Petersburg. How many of you are into ballet? Do you know anything about it? Yeah. And if you're not, they're the most athletic people on the planet. They're incredible. So there's a current movie out, and I encourage you to go see it, but it was incredible, and it's about a dancer. He's from the Ukraine, and this is current, and it's a movie called Dancer. And what it's about is, it's a documentary based on this guy, and he was probably, if you know your ballet dancers, you know who Rudolf Nureyev was? Okay, one of the most famous dancers, and of course, Baryshnikov. You all know Baryshnikov, okay, because he's the bad boy of ballet. Anyway, so what happened is this young kid, you know, they're so poor, and the family was working out of the country. That's what I'm saying. They were just willing to do whatever it took and go with the flow of their life in order to make a dream happen for their son. So their son ends up, you know, he first starts in gymnastics, and then they see he has an affinity for dancing, and they put him into ballet school. Then he gets into, as he ages and as he gets older, he was taken into, I can't remember what it was, I think it was in England. He was actually taken into a ballet company there. But this guy was probably one of the best dancers I've seen, and I've seen a lot of ballets. And he is on the level of Baryshnikov and Nureyev. Wow. And he's that good. So if you can look it up, look up the movie Dancer. But his journey and how he continued to move through his life, he ended up, because he missed his family so much from being at the ballet company in Britain, that he ended up getting all these tattoos, and you would never think of a ballet dancer, yeah, with tattoos. And then he ended up, at the end of it, he said, I can't do this anymore. You know, it became a grind for him. And he really wanted to express himself and to encourage other people. So he ends up in this prestigious, because he was the premier dancer in this company. And he ended up leaving the company, and then of course nobody else would ever touch him because he left without any kind of word. And he ended up doing a video. And the video is him expressing himself in dance, and it went viral. And people were encouraged, and you see all of these children dancing. And they all wanted to embrace their creativity. And he followed his soul. And because he followed his soul, he left the company, said, I can't do it anymore. And he was able to do that video, express, and he, the song was Take It to Church. Yep. And did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so go on YouTube and you'll see him dancing, and it's phenomenal, and it gives me chills right now just to think about it. But, getting back to how we live our lives and how we take in life, and how I'm watching these individuals on this cruise, and I'm watching individuals in the city, and in just this whole experience, is that, I realize that if we take it in, and it's kind of like what Douglas was reading, about being grateful and thankful. And if we are, that's great. But it's also about looking at how do we embrace the mystical part of our lives? How do we embrace that? Where when we have a health problem going on, we have financial situations, we have a relationship problem or no relationship. How do we embrace that? How do we go with the flow of that and allow it to come in? And I realized, as I was going, across the oceans, and I don't know if you know this, when you travel, when you go across an ocean, it changes you. Are you aware of that, Joanne? You've done it a lot of times. And then when you come back, there is a shift in your psyche and your soul. I don't know what it does. I had a shaman explain it to me once. But when you travel across the ocean to other countries, it shifts you into another vibrational frequency. Are you aware of that? And if you're not, when next time you plan your next trip, be aware of that, because I was driving up this morning going, I feel different. I feel better, than I have before. And it's incredible that it does that for us. But when I say go with the flow, we have different things going on in our lives, and I had to jump right back in and get this stuff done from the center of the heart, and do all that. But when I did, it was with a sense of joy and gratitude, and I was so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful for all of you that come and support us. But, I also want to talk about the politics and what's going on, and I want to give you some kind of a feeling of security and hope and safety. Because I was watching, and this is so interesting, I was watching Call the Midwife. Do you ever watch that on PBS? Yeah. Well, they were talking about, y'all remember, I was a kid, I don't know, I was probably in 10th grade or something, when Kennedy and the Russians and Cuba, remember the Cuba Missile Crisis and all that in the 70s? I need to actually look it up and read about it, because I was a little kid when it was happening.
60s.
60s, was it the 60s?
Kennedy died.
Late 60s or early 60s?
Early.
62, 63.
You were in
But I knew you guys would know. Because I was a little kid. I don't think I was even 8 or 9 or something at that time. So anyway, they're talking about it, and in the show, this was, these women all work as midwives in England. And the whole show was about their fear of having a nuclear attack on the free world because of what was going on at that time. And they were all afraid. Well, what's going on right now? We're all kind of afraid of what's going on with our beloved in Korea. We're concerned. But, it was something, David Hawkins said this, and it also, Maryum and Morse has said this. Throughout history, that our humanity repeats itself. Here we are again in this same situation. And so what I wanted to say is that, and Roxy and I were talking about it, people are, oh, woe is me, we're going to die. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't even go there. But there's a fear underlined in what we call our collective consciousness, which is what underlies humanity. And we all catch that feeling. We'll catch the negativity as well as the positivity. You know that, right? And you feel that. You'll catch the fear, and you'll catch all of the things. And what I want to say is that, that's great to watch the news, but don't watch it. I mean, be aware of it, but then go back and say, okay, but am I okay now? And in this moment, am I safe now? Am I held in the loving embrace of God? Yes. Because to worry about something in the future when it may never happen, like it didn't in the 60s, and they were all grateful when it didn't happen. But same with now. So what I want to say is that, it's like, it's out there, and I have to talk about it because it's so prevalent right now with what's going on around the world. And then I love our dear president. He comes back from his trip and, I was a home run. And we're going, okay. Yeah, he said it. So anyway, and God bless him. So here's the qualities you want to embrace about our president. You got to embrace the self-confidence, okay? And you got to embrace the positivity within his own mind. So, he's a miracle in his own mind. So what I'm going to say to you is that you need to be the miracle in your own mind. And that's it. I mean, take the qualities, and somehow I'm off. Take the qualities and embrace that side. Because what the Course in Miracles says, what Abraham says, if you're against something, you're for it. So let's say you don't like how the government's going, you don't like the president, you don't like this, and so you're focusing all your energy on that. Let it go, baby. And all you're going to do is pray on it. Pray on the government that, they're taking good care of the finances. Pray on that. This beloved president, he's learning every day and he's growing. I know it's a stretch, but you know what? And miracles can happen. So wherever you want, it doesn't matter whether you like the person or you don't like the person. And I'm not saying either way, but the thing is for anybody, let's say you have somebody in your family like that little kid was talking about, or you have somebody in a relative, or you have somebody at work. So it's the same thing. It's just a bigger picture when it's our government. So allow that and embrace and pray on that. Because as we pray for individuals outside of ourselves, as we pray for circumstances to be different, then we get that prayer back. We always say, get a prayer, give a prayer, get a prayer. And that's really what it is. We want to create that energy. Because if you want to be spiritually authentic, we all say, oh, I'm spiritual. Well, if you're really spiritual, then what we do is just embrace and hold and go with the flow of God within our hearts. And that's what it's all about. Because being spiritual means that we embrace the love, we embrace that joy, we embrace whatever the qualities of God are. And that's really it. So I'm just here to say, embrace those qualities of love and peace. When you start to go into fear and doubt and worry, then allow yourselves to know that all is well and that you are held in the loving embrace of God. One of my favorite stories about that, this was during the World War II, and it was in England. And there were two wardens, and they're the area wardens, and they get everybody to go into the tunnels and the metro and the caves and wherever they were, when they were getting bombed by the Germans. And what happened is that they had such faith and knowing that they were held in the loving embrace of God, they came back after the bombing, the next morning, and every single house on their street was bombed except theirs. So if you don't believe that there is a divine presence, there is. And no matter what's going on in our lives, it's always there. It's always there to support us. And it was interesting. I got back and I rent a house out, and my tenant says, "Gee, I'm having trouble because I'm not getting my checks in." And she's an actress, and so I said, "Well, how much do you have out there?" She goes, "I have like 20 grand. And I said, wow, so let's pray on flow and release and allow it to come in. And so as we did that, the mail came a couple hours later and she had a check. So that's what I'm saying. It's that quick, it's that simple, it's that easy. So allow, and simply allow Spirit to support and love and nurture you. Because there's always, I love Pastor Joel Osteen, you got God's favor in your life. And so as we have God's favor, we have God's blessing all the time. And it's the blessing that's within our mind, our heart, and our soul. And that's really what it's about. So that's what I want all of you to just embrace that. Allow yourselves to feel joy this week. And allow yourselves to, as we continue in every class, tap into the mystical. And tap into, say, hey, just for chuckles, I want to see some cool thing today. And then as you do that, allow yourself to see that beautiful sunset, or allow yourself to see a little animal, scampering across your path when you're thinking about something. Allow yourself to feel that love and that embrace of God. Because as we allow, that is what's going to awaken us to who and what we really are. The last thing I was talking about was, the bombing happened in England. It also happened in St. Petersburg. These people, God bless them. We have to pray on those guys too. But they'll go in and they're suicide bombers. They'll essentially put a bomb on their body and blow up, everything around them. So what I was going to say is that, with that, is that we also just have to pray that for all these individuals, for all that's going on, that no matter where we are, we're safe. Because people said to me, "You're going to Russia? Are you kidding me?" And I thought, what did they mean by that? So as we were on the boat, several of us said, from Britain, from, I can't remember the other countries, and they all said, people said that, "You're going to Russia? Why are you going to Russia?" Now that we came back from the trip, we go, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? It's a beautiful culture, a beautiful country. And no matter where you go, the reason I brought up the individuals that are causing the havoc is that we have picked a certain time frame, and we have picked a certain way of our souls expressing in the world. And there's, I think it was called Medium, where I've talked about this before, where she saw the numbers on their head of how many years they had left to live, and she could see that. And I really believe that no matter where you go, of course I'm not going to fly to Afghanistan right now, but it's really that we have a certain time frame in our lives. And embrace this moment, embrace right now, and embrace that we are held in that loving, loving space that God has provided. And our soul has given us this opportunity of life in order for us to express, in order for us to evolve. And I've said this before, my mom's 92, and she said, I just have to live a little bit longer because I know if I could just burn off some more karma, I don't have to come back and do all this stuff again. And I'm like, yeah! And that's really, really what it's about. So whatever we're fearing, whatever we have said, oh, I don't know if I could do that, yes, you can. And allow yourselves to really take in life and to embrace it and enjoy it, because that's what it's all about. And so, hey, go to Russia, go to Bali, go. Plan the trip and go. Because we're not getting any younger, and we don't know what number we got on our forehead, okay? So that's all I'm going to say, because it's really the truth. So Roxy pulled up, I want to close with this. Roxy found a really great quote. This is Anthony Paul Muyong. Mushi. Is it Mushi? Muji, actually. Find the place which is effortlessly at rest within itself. Be there, be one with that. Throw away everything, forget about it all. You are learning too much, remembering too much, trying too hard. Relax a bit. Give life a chance to flow its own way. Unassisted by your mind and effort, stop directing the river's flow. And so it is.
So
Thank you, beloveds. Have a beautiful week. Mwah. So happy to be back, and enjoy. with that we have, gee, a song for George. Is it a dance